Hi guys. I am finally back home. I'm going into my last semester of my BFA degree, thank God. Just so ready to graduate. So ready to graduate. Um Basically this dress that I made was for my friend Jalen, who is a communications major. She also is graduating, but she is also a event planner. Yes, she's an event planner and a organizational leader. She can really put things together because she's the boss. Anyways, she asked me to make a dress because I made a dress last year for her, and it is right here. At first, I wanted to nail down a design. She didn't want to nail down a design, so I was like, okay, fine. Like, we'll just figure it out later. And gradually, it came from different sources. And then it was like, okay, new design, a different dress. Do you want spaghetti straps? Do you not want spaghetti straps? Do you want it to be strapless? You know, I know that I wanted like a big gown that actually flared out. Didn't really go anywhere except Joann's Fabrics because what else can you get in Ohio? I mean, like, seriously. I went through um, a death in the family, which was my grandmother, and she passed away about a week before the Renaissance Ball. The Renaissance Ball is basically something that's put on by BUS, which stands for Black United Students at Kent State University. Black students back then couldn't be in any organizations or homecoming. They couldn't really participate in homecoming with white Kent State students, so they put on their own event, which came as the Renaissance Ball, and it's just been tradition that people go, and Jalen plans that. When my grandmother passed away a week before the Renaissance Ball, it was kind of like, okay, so, you know, I wasn't really processing, you know, the death. I just really put my time and work into the dress. This feels like a confessional, but that's kind of what happened. So basically, this is me looking at a book by Mabel D. Irwin. It was published in the 1930s and it's called Practical Dress Design. It helps me a lot when it comes to slashing and spreading. I made small patterns for the half scale because I didn't know how it was going to look on the full dress form. Once I figured that out, I was actually in the process of cutting the fabric, which is what I'm doing right now. I made the sloper in the real scale of what Jalen's size was, and then I actually designed it based on my own practical design because I never made anything this large. I've made plenty of gowns before, but I've never made a big ball gown of this stature. Now, what you need to do is before you even cut out your muslin, you need to have your patterns and you need to make sure that they are trued up. Trued up basically means that they just need to be symmetrical, so that means your patterns make sense when you're cutting them out because you'll be looking at, like, you know, 2:37 in the morning, which I've done many times, trying to figure out exactly, oh, did I design it this way? Because, you know, a ball gown skirt looks it starts to look repetitive, you know, because it's basically a bunch of curved triangles put together, um, you know, depending on what design you're doing. So basically, I knew the design, but sometimes I was a little bit confused, so make sure that they're trued up. Now, the reason why I have an iron right here is because I'm pressing my seams open. When you are sewing something together, you are basically colliding two pieces that, you know, don't go together and they're going together. You're sewing them together. So when you're sewing something together, it's much like think of it this way. When you have, like, you know, a mountain of fabric or something, when you're putting two things together, you need to press it open so it lies flat because your fabric will concave into each other and you do not want that. So that's the reason why you are pressing your seams open, because it'll be big and lumpy like this. So that's the reason why I'm sitting there ironing, you know, on the ground, but usually in costume shop they call it pressing, and it took me the longest to actually say the terminology and say pressing. You know, sometimes I say ironing because I am ironing, which is what I'm doing exactly right there. I'm ironing because there's a lot of wrinkles and I don't like wrinkles. and I was raised that way. So yeah, now I'm ironing out everything and pressing it open. I want to shout out to my RA, Emily, because I was out there as if it was my own atelier at Kent State University, and I was just sewing in my dorm. Now this is actually what the skirt pattern looks like, and this is just, you know, me laying it out so I can see how it looks. There are notches on the side, so I know exactly which part it goes to. I wouldn't put your notches, like, you know, on the same parts because you don't know where it goes together. After that, I sewed it together, and this is exactly what it looks like periodically as I'm sewing it.
Hi. I was like, you were sitting here matching with the carpet and the couch.
Really?
I just realized.
She has to get fabric.
Where is she? She's in her room or is she? Okay.
How are you?
I'm tired.
I heard you sleeping
Did you hear me sleeping?
at 9 because I knocked on the door twice. I was like, this man.
Did you hear me snoring?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, listen, this is what happened. I was at a haunted house and there was a bunch of people who couldn't park. And I was doing my SATC hours. And I was just like, okay, like, I'm here. There was no one in my program that showed us.
For today, but the goal is to find a fabric that one works and two that's in our color palette.
I don't know.
Are you doing just one or are you doing like a print or multiple colors?
It's still most likely. It was like a, what was it? It's like a, it's alright. I'm very judgmental. It's alright. What? Oh, wait. Come over here. We don't want you to look like a couch pillow.
So many decisions, huh?
No. 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 We will not do that.
Okay.
Okay. But, okay. Here's the trims, my dear. A trim could be good. There's different types of trims. Trims also go at the bottom of things. These are all the trims. Like you could do flowers.
I'm literally giving you creative.
You can do.
I don't care.
No.
Yes.
I need help.
Why do you need help?
Because I don't know if you'll like it.
Okay, well ask Simone.
See,
She
it's
knows.
like pretty. Oh yeah, Simone will get it. Okay, so. There goes us. Was that us? Haha, best press. A little thing is something you can actually put vinegar on your clothes and it gets the wrinkles out.
This fabric right here is gonna
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
the stuff that's like stretchy.
Hi.
You want a sample piece of each one.
Yeah, can we? Yeah.
So that's an 8.
That's fine.
How many yards you need of this?
You need like 15.
But she just said 11. So 12 times 15.
I'm doing a giant dress. Oh, I remember. It's gonna be bigger this year. It's huge.
The dress or the ball?
Huh?
The dress or the ball?
No, both of them.
Well, hopefully.
Cause you're gonna be busy. But luckily you live on the same floor, so it's not.
Luckily, we live in the same building. Exactly.
Yeah.
Quick fix.
Now, all right. Last year I was living in a different building, and then I lived in this building.
I actually sewed most of the skirt piece the morning of my flight to Chicago because I had to go to Cleveland International or catch a flight on Halloween Day. So the skirt part was done on Halloween Day, and I did the other parts later. believe it or not, the skirt actually takes less time than the actual bodice. I actually did sew the skirt part the day of my flight. So that's why some things in the tutorial, well, it's not really a tutorial, it's just like a time lapse. Not really a time lapse either, it's just kind of like documenting the process, going along with what I actually did with making this gown. The spaghetti straps of this dress took forever. Messed up on one spaghetti strap. I hate spaghetti straps. Like, I love them, but I hate them. They look cute, but also it's like, you don't know how much effort goes into spaghetti straps. Stressed me out, honestly. So that was like the top part. It went like a halter, but it was supposed to look like actual like spaghetti straps that went across shoulders. It helped the dress, it helped keep it up, essentially. It was fine, it would have been fine strapless, but it just helps it looks cuter. I don't know, like, it looked cute. So so basically the fabric for the satin dress was also two-toned. It was a two-toned reversible. It was reversible, so we didn't have to add like a lining. The only lining, which was a car coat, it was a car coat. It was, no, not car coat. It was a coat lining that I got from Chicago, because while I was here I actually went to go shop for the different things. But when I did get to doing the dress after I got back from the funeral, it was like, okay, you got 3 days to make this dress.
So what's going on now, guys, is I have added boning to the lining, and it's to give stability and support. So that is the boning added, sewn at the end so they can't move. Yep. Okay, so now I'm like sewing 3 layers together. Okay, so I attached the lining to the bodice, but when you're attaching, make sure that you understitch so the lining stays down. The purpose of you doing that is so it doesn't move around whenever they're moving in the garment. So make sure that whenever you're doing something, make sure that you understitch it, because this doesn't move, and I'll show you. Like, once you place it on here, you don't really see it. Now, off camera, what I did was I added bra cups, and I only did chain stitches around, like, you know, the fronts of the bra cups so they can be flexible and they can move around. It's essentially like a built-in bra. That way, when you do create things like this, she or your client don't have to wear like bras or anything like that. Sorry, the camera. But basically, I stitched in the bra cups, which I picked up from Chicago, and that was that step. Now the markings that you see right here are actually just me marking and making sure that I actually have a place for my zipper. But what I did was I actually, since I am sewing in the lining and the zipper in the outside fashion fabric together, and I'm sandwiching the zipper essentially, I'm going to hand stitch my zipper in. I already hand stitched this zipper in, well, the zipper side, and you see that it's perfectly in, because the sewing machine doesn't do such a great job sometimes when it comes to that. So I actually hand stitch one side of it, and it's more control if you do hand stitch it. And then you take out your marking after you're finished hand stitching.
Say what I do. Yes.
Yes.
But
I was like, I
I was like, damn, it's so wow.
Okay, wow.
yeah, you're old.
What do we want to say? Thank you. Yeah, gracias. Yeah.
Can we take a second? This is Jalen's and Monte's last Renaissance ball.
You won't see the horsehair though. I usually add in my last video, but horsehair is what keeps it stable. It's supposed to keep the bottom of it stable. It actually flares out the gown when you're walking. It's actually easier. I've added horsehair on a couple of things that I've done. The last dress that I did with Jalen was mostly lace, and probably a crepe fabric. It was yellow crepe and it was a lace. We did not need to add horsehair on that because it was very flowy. It was a very flowy, like umpire type of dress that was flat-lined and serged together, and it was like, you know, essentially she was wearing two dresses in one. For this, it is satin. You need to add horsehair to that, otherwise you're just gonna be wearing, it's gonna be difficult for you to walk in. Luckily, I made a muslin. We fitted it on Jalen, and that's kind of what happened when it came to fitting it. The muslin basically is the rough draft, okay? If you are making something that is expensive, you need to make a muslin first, because if you don't make a muslin, I don't know what to tell you, honestly. Like, I just don't know. Like, in the construction world, you just make a muslin. Like, why would you make a muslin? I don't get it. Like, whatever. So, basically, that's what I did, which is why you guys see mostly the process of the muslin, because exactly what happens with the muslin is what happens with the real garment. On the muslin, I didn't add the suitcase straps, and I did not add the shawl collared. The shawl collared, basically, I had to take it in, sandwich it. I had to sandwich the spaghetti strap, the shawl collared, the lining, and the boning, and like put it all together. But you won't see it at all. Like, when you flip it up, you won't see it at all because it's concealed in the lining. And the lining is stitched down to the bodice. Whew. The train of the dress did not happen because satin is thick, so I had to pleat it. When in doubt, pleat it out. That's exactly my motto. When in doubt, pleat it out, because it works. It works. And that's exactly what we did. We pleated it. It looked graceful. I did the calculations, and that's what happened. I did it on one side because usually a dress is very symmetrical unless you're doing asymmetrical, but the train was symmetrical. So I did it on one side, and then I did it on the other side. And it's like, as I go along the flow with designing this train, that's exactly what happened.
Come on, let's go. Look at Simone. Look at Simone. She made that. She made
Simone's dress. Simone actually made her dress from scratch. Simone Lindsay, by the way, is a fashion designer from North Carolina. She actually made her tulle dress from scratch. I don't know where she found the time. I don't know where she found the time, because fashion majors are extremely pressed when it comes to their assignments. I don't know how they do it. I used to be a fashion major, 2014, 15? Those 2 years? I was like, okay, this isn't for me. Like, I want to still do both of them, because if you're paying, I could be a fashion designer for you. That's no issue. Like, I design all the time, honey. It's fine. But I was like, okay, fashion is more mass production. Like, if you want to work in the industry, like, let's say that if you want to work for Calvin Klein, I want to work for like the atelier section of it. If I was to ever do it, like, I would want to work on things that you would not see, like the detail type of things. If I was ever work for Dior, Dior, if you're watching this, I would love to work for y'all. Just saying, if I was to ever work for Dior, put me in a little atelier section. I can work up in there. You can pay me like 2 pennies. I'm cool with it. As long as I can use those 2 pennies to rub together to pay my rent and to eat a little bit of food, that's fine. I don't need to take any cars. You know, I heard France has a very good, you know, public transportation, hopefully, because the city's old as dust. But, you know, it's fine. You don't need a car in New York. Just take the subway, okay? While the rats and the roaches, it's fine. It's cool. I live in Chicago. It happens all the time. You know, if they ever want to hire me, that's cool. But I just didn't want to do mass production. Or if I was to do it, I would love to do sustainability or whatever like that. But, you know, I just didn't want to do ready wear. So I was like, let's cancel. So yeah, like, that's cool, fine, dandy.